Can you please request your teammates to join in as well so that we can begin on time? Friends, teammates, anybody else you know from phase three who would like to join in today? And then we'll get started in about 5 minutes, okay? Awesome. We'll get started. So, this is Shardul Dabir, the innovation specialist with the GFI India team, as all of you know. And today we have three mentor speakers with us who are going to share their insights and experiences, and also answer a lot of questions that you had submitted about your proposals, about the sector in general, about their experiences starting, a plant-based meat, eggs, or dairy company, a plant-based ingredients company. And we also have Natalie from Brinc, who's going to answer a lot of questions around investment and acceleration and what do they look out for in startups or innovating in this area. So a warm welcome to Dr. Reena firstly. Dr. Reena comes with a background in science, obviously a lot of clinical research. She has previously also consulted with Dabir Research Foundation as a business consultant. And before that, she was a scientist across positions, managed a lot of laboratory work. So she definitely comes with a lot of rooting in lab scale testing and development of products and ingredients. And currently she's the co-founder and CEO at Shandi Global, which is an ingredient focused company based out of India and Singapore, and has been previously been accelerated and helped by Brinc. So we'll learn more about what Reena does and what her company does when she introduces herself. We'll quickly move on to Kushal. Kushal has been in our GFI India ecosystem for a year and a half now, and has been obviously innovating a lot in the plant-based meat side of things. He has been a successful entrepreneur in the food and CPG space with his company 4PM Bar previously, achieving a lot of success through innovative spirulina-based nutrition-rich, basically hunger and nutrition bars. And I'll also let Kushal tell a lot about his company and his journey in the coming questions. We also have Natalie. Natalie is the program manager for food acceleration at Brinc, and she's been focused on helping a lot of CPG startups, food tech startups, and also a lot of smart protein and alternative protein startups recently. And as you all know, Brinc is one of our challenge partners, and this webinar is basically being done as an association webinar with Brinc, so that going forward, all the teams that basically win from the challenge can also be incorporated in some of these very interesting acceleration cohorts and innovation ecosystems as and when you apply to them. So once again, a very warm welcome, Kushal, Reena, and Natalie.
Thank you, Shardul. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we'll get started with Dr. Reena. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do currently? Dr. Reena, you're on mute, so just have to unmute.
Founder of Shandi.
Dr. Reena, I think you're on mute, so you'll just have to really unmute yourself and go again with the introduction. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just forgot to unmute. Yeah. So I'm Dr. Reena, co-founder of Shandi. Shandi is a plant-based meat alternate company with a mission to replace meat without compromising on taste and nutrition. We started this company in 2019 in Singapore, and we have, as well now, we have completed our research and development on our product, and we are in the commercialization phase. Hope in January last 2021, we will be commercialize our product. Not only in ASEAN, we have a plan in the phase 2 in Middle East and in phase 3 in Latin America.
Very exciting. I've not met many founders, Indian origin founders who want to take their company to multiple markets in such a short span of time. And I'm sure, your time at Brinc and, just interacting with the Singapore innovation ecosystem has given you a lot of perspective on how to go on about doing that. We'll catch up on some questions and learn more from your experiences going forward. Kushal, why don't you go next and quickly introduce yourself and your company?
Yeah. So I'm the founder of Naka Food. So we started a few years ago, almost 4 years back, with the thought of creating alternative foods to solve some of the biggest problem in food system. So we started with a nutrition bar which has spirulina. It's a kind of an algae. uh, uh, it had a little bit of challenge. We masked the smell and taste of it and made it edible, and it's the most nutritious superfood on the planet. But it stinks and it tastes bad. We masked it and made it like even the kids love it today. So yeah, so that's that. Almost a year ago, we started a work in the space of plant-based meat, alternative meat, and we were part of Brinc Hong Kong last year, November, December. I was there. So yeah, so now we are in the final stages of R&D. We plan to launch a pilot scale launch in coming months, in next 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Awesome. Great to know about your, upcoming launch, and we're all excited to, see your products in the market and give you some feedback. I'm sure all the challenge participants are going to have a great time with all the product launches coming up in the Indian market because till now the situation is such that you cannot find many products in the market. So it's difficult to do a lot of, competitive analysis, consumer research, all of that. Natalie, why don't you go next and quickly introduce yourself and bring?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Hi, can you hear me well? Okay, great. My name
Yes.
is Natalie. I'm the program manager for the Food Technology Accelerator program at Brinc, for which both Shandi Global and Naka Foods have gone through. So I'm sure we'll touch on this a little bit later, so I'll keep it brief. We are a venture accelerator. And we are essentially very early stage, very hands-on investors for startups that are using technology to make our food system more sustainable. So on top of investing in the startups, we work together very closely throughout a structured 3-month long accelerator program to help plug into different aspects of the startup's business. And post that, we continue to work with the startups to help them grow and achieve their milestones.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great to have you. And I'm sure, just your perspectives on what Reena and Kushal say from an acceleration perspective, from an investment perspective, would be really valuable to everybody present. So it's simple. I'm going to basically call on each of you and just, moderate some of the questions that we have received for each one of you. And we'll take it from there, starting with some general questions. So, Kushal, there are a lot of plant-based meat companies in the market, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're trying to do, which is a differentiator from the competition in the market?
Sure. So our approach is to be a very minimally processed products, and we are using the approach of whole foods. We use jackfruit as our base ingredient or the main ingredient, and we are also thinking to launch products which are like easy to use, and it syncs very well with the Indian and Asian cuisines. I think, and then also with our expertise in our previous product, our products will be much better in terms of nutrition content per product per gram. So that will be a differentiator.
Got it. So you're localizing for taste, and then your focus is also on nutrition to an extent, carrying on from what your vision was at 4 p.m. bars as well. That's amazing. Reena, can you tell us a little bit about your specific USP? There are a lot of companies coming up in this space, especially in a competitive landscape like the Southeast Asian market, Singapore. So can you tell us about specific USPs? And from what I understand, your co-founder, Dr. Gaurav, is also present on the call today. So why don't you quickly introduce Dr. Gaurav and he can also join us in the panel?
Gaurav, you would like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me. So this is Dr. Gaurav and I'm co-founder of Shandi Global based in Singapore and supporting Shandi for all the technical aspects, I would say. So I'm from food technology background, a PhD in food technology, and have been on the leadership positions with some of the largest food ingredient companies based in Singapore as well as in India.
Awesome. Welcome, Dr. Gaurav. And we'd love to, pass on some questions to you as well. I cannot see you right now, but I think you can speak through Dr. Reena's account as
Yeah.
well. So that should be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, actually, Shardul, before starting this Shandi Global, we came from the vegetarian background. We are vegetarian since birth. And so we have studied a market lot that what type of products are available in market. We purchase the Impossible Burger, we purchase the Beyond Burger, we purchase the rest of the all the companies. So and we try to find out the gap between the consumer and the product. So based identify that gap, we have find out mainly four problems in the existed market. One is the cost. Second is the use of the artificial additive in these products. And third, we can say the product are made up of one or two concentrate like pea concentrate, soya concentrate. So we want to be deliver a complete protein profile. So that's a third gap. And fourth one, we can say the limited option of the food. Like the food is in the patties form, nuggets form, burger form, and we came from the Asia. We are from India, so we used to make our food at home. And in Asia, not only we, most of the people like to make their food of their own choice or their own taste, because we have the diversity in the taste and the choice as well. So after going all these problems, studying all these problems, we try to solve by selecting a product which can deliver a complete protein profile, not from the one or two, selecting one or two protein, a blend of the protein from selected plant source, which can deliver all the amino acids which can make a complete protein profile. That's the one point. Second problem was the cost, which is a very effective factor, because because of the economic inequalities in the world, everyone cannot afford a $14-15 daily 2 or 3 times in a day. So keeping that in mind, we all know that all the commodities are very cheap. In Singapore, we can say these can become in the 50-60 cent. In India, less than 10 or 20 rupees, I think, kg, all the pulses, lentils, and vegetables which we are using in nowadays in the product development. So we try to make our product cost as close to meat. And honestly speaking, the surprise is that yet we enjoyed the 60% gross margin in our product. So second thing is the affordability, which can most of the population can afford our product. They can enjoy, they can make it their own food at home. And third is the limited, as I talked about the limited food options. So our product we prepared by keeping the Asian market, because at this moment we are targeting the Asian, including the Australia and New Zealand as major market. Australia, New Zealand, Japan as the major market. And then we will be moving towards the middle age. Raw meat form is in the roasted meat form, and in the B2B. And simultaneously in the B2C, we are ready to make the burger patties. So it covers all the market, all the choice, from restaurant to Western fast food chain. So that's the third point which we covered, which was the gap in the market. And fourth and the last point which we can say is this complete taste and texture, which nowadays everyone wants to make. If they are in the chicken market, they want to deliver the real chicken taste. If they are in the beef market, they want to. So we have tried to inbuild the taste within the product, so that we want to try to make the product additive free by building the taste from amino acid and carbohydrate. So these 4 points are our USP, and which we this is not a 1 day or 2 day task. In last 2 years we have studied the product. We have studied the biochemistry of real chicken, that what type of carbohydrate is in the chicken, what type of protein profile of the chicken, whatever the fat is in chicken. Then we have kept one side the chicken, then tried to make that the same chemistry outside the chicken body. We can say the in vitro study by making a complete protein profile, which can deliver a complete protein. And that's why we say our company is the future of nutrition.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, no, I especially enjoy the focus on nutrition and the kind of problems you're trying to solve for. Bioavailability, nutrition rich, cost should be affordable. There should be a lot of customized offerings. So it seems like you're trying to solve for a lot of major pain points. And definitely, like you said, it took a lot of years and a lot of R&D to get there. But we'd love to understand a little bit more about, your step-by-step timeline of how you proceeded, starting Shandi Global, and also just understand a little bit about the name, because it's very interesting, both Naka Foods and Shandi Global today. So maybe you can have a couple of lines just telling our audience about how did you arrive at the name. Okay, great. So my next question is actually for Kushal. Both of you are obviously starting a plant-based company, plant-based meat company. It's a very high-tech food tech area. And building that company in India specifically for you, Kushal. Can you tell us about your experiences starting a food tech company from 4 p.m. bar, which was relatively a low-tech area, compared to plant-based meats, which was high-tech, your experiences in hiring talent, the support ecosystem, how did you go on about it?
Okay. So in a first product, although the product as a category was not that high tech per se, but we needed a lot of expertise when it comes to spirulina, the way we wanted to incorporate that in our product. So that took us quite a lot of time, not too much in the lab, but to really replicate that in a commercial scale, so that we can really scale it with our manufacturer. So that was not an easy task, but coming to the meat, I was fortunate enough to stay in touch with the GFI. I found amazing people who are interested in this from their college days itself. So they became part of our team, and we are also been part of some of the leading cutting edge scientific food science innovative centers in India. Two specifically. So the scientists there, some of the directors there, they are guiding us and they're helping us in creating our products. Yeah.
Got it. And what were the major challenges you would say, like specifically for a food tech
Oh, yeah.
startup in India?
Food tech, the product you can make it, but the market and the distribution is the next big challenge for any entrepreneur who is starting first. Yeah, that would be a major challenge, but getting access to a lab, that's the biggest challenge. And especially when I speak with respect to meat, we scouted for like 6 to 8 months to get our hands on a proper extruder. We still couldn't get it, the right one. The specification is different here and some machine is not working there. So yeah, there are a few challenges, but in a low tech product, it's a distribution, because you can have a product, scaling it up, working with a co-manufacturer is a difficult task, then getting a distribution. And specifically with our alternative protein, you're going by a extrusion method. That's really hard to get your hands on any extruder, and getting access to a lab, that's a second challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Access to labs and extruders, we've discussed this time and again.
Yeah.
We're putting some of that data together. I'm sure a lot of these participants are going to find it useful, along with entrepreneurs like yourselves. But you're right. Like, I think what I like about Kushal's approach is he focused on local lab. He's from Mysore, that area of Bangalore. So basically, he collaborated a lot with CFTRI, and that was a best way for him to do a lot of trials hands-on. So I'll recommend all of you to find universities and research centers and research labs, even though they might not have the all the equipments that you need, but possibly a majority of your R&D steps could be executed there. Reena, why don't you go on and tell us a little bit? Did you think of starting the company in India? How did you shift to Singapore? What is the difference, and what was the difference in approach when solving for food technology related problems, scale up, hiring talent, which would have specific expertise in biochemistry of meat, for example, etc.?
Yes. Yeah, actually, in a startup, when you have the limitation of the fund budget, and when especially means every person, very rare person are having all the skills, like they can be the market expert, they can be in the sales also, they can be in the technology. So honestly, me and my co-founder, Dr. Gaurav, we both are the technical guys. As I did my PhD in the biotech, and Gaurav did his nutritional chemistry. So we were lacking these business skills, and how to go to the market, and how to talk about our product, how to sell our product. So definitely, I would give this credit to Brinc, and especially Natalie, who has given us a lot of time in improving our business skill when we guys were in the
Yeah.
and initially having this problem. And basically, we talk about India. So India is a very diversity of taste, and even if you see, then North Indians are having the different taste from the South Indians, and these means Maharashtrian, Gujarat. So we have different state and different taste, and so it's very challenging to fill that gap. And so if we and surprisingly, we did our product trial in India. And we started our product trial from the restaurant, hotels, then we did in the catering services, even marriages. So and our product is every means by everyone. And so India is definitely, if you, it's my opinion, if you are successfully launching a product in India, means you can rock anywhere, because India is a market which you can get different taste. And as I talk, so that's a one point. And second point is um, is about the skill based, that if you cannot say that if I'm going in the market, I cannot say that I'm a technology person, I don't know marketing, I don't know sale, I don't know. If you don't know how to market your product, if you don't know how to sell your product, no investor is coming towards you. So that's the second skill you should
Yeah.
have when you are going to launch a company. So you should be prepared for all those challenges and difficulties you can face near time.
Yeah.
Does it answer your question, or I lose some
No, it
point?
does. It does, and we'll catch up on some of the details in the follow up questions. But Natalie, my next question is actually for you. Both Reena and Kushal mentioned about Brink's role in helping them take it to the next level in terms of solving for key challenges. Can you just give us some general insights about food tech startups, alternative protein startups that apply to Brink, and specifically from developing countries like India, what kind of challenges they face, and where usually you feel are the biggest challenges for these startups that Brink helped solve for? And just some key things that people who are looking to start companies in the area should keep in mind before going on about seeking help from an accelerator like yours.
Sure, I'm happy to. So I think a couple things to unpack there. What are the key challenges that we see a lot of startup founders face, and what are the things that we look for? So perhaps I'll start with what we look for most. I think the first thing that's most important in founders when we work with them is resilience, actually. Starting an early stage company is tough. You'll likely overcome many challenges and many hurdles and be faced to pivot and be faced to change. And we're especially seeing this currently in this very odd year that we all have been operating in. So resilience and perseverance, even though it's so understated, is across the board one of the most important things we look for in a startup. Another, I think, both challenge and opportunity is, especially in a climate like this, a founder that is able to manage their runway and their cash flows properly. In an early stage startup, cash really is king. Cash will give you the lifeline to be able to develop your product, to hit certain milestones and traction. So challenge is to really be able to manage that cash flow properly. And then one perhaps more specific to the plant-based space is that now actually we're past the first generation of plant-based food products where it was enough just to be a plant-based food product. You're beyond and you're impossible, where then it was just a novelty to have a plant-based burger. And now actually the plant-based market landscape is increasingly saturated. So one of the biggest things that you have to start thinking about is, how does my product differentiate from the others? What is it that makes it special? Is it because it's clean label? Is it because it's like technically a better product, with it being more, absorbable with a better protein profile? Is it actually targeting a white space that is, say, plant-based, say, seafood or a type of meat that's not as readily available in the market? Is there something differentiated in your marketing strategy? Are you targeting a specific demographic? So I think important, I guess, both things that we look for in founders and challenges are the ability really to be able to differentiate yourself, ability to manage your cash well, I would say, and ability to pick yourself up, even though it sounds like something so basic. Resilience is often something that we look for in the spirit of the founder. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, it does. Yeah, no, I think resilience and just, especially in a country like India, where you're trying to build a lot of the stacks of the ecosystem and support ecosystem that exists for a food tech startup. I think definitely founders have to be really resilient. So you're right on point. And I love your second point about differentiation. Even in India, over the next few months, there are going to be multiple plant-based meat, dairy companies. Luckily, a lot of our challenge participants have picked up categories in white space areas, which are very niche and serving a very specific market in India. So I think that's a great approach. And I think phase one, phase two has helped them think through the competition out there. So for example, 600 plus companies out there now in the plant-based meat, eggs, dairy, cultivated and fermented based meat, eggs and dairy space globally. And, just studying a little bit about their products, their offerings, what led to their success would really help our participants. So thank you for that insight. Reena, my next question is actually for you. Can you run our participants through, you mentioned, obviously you've been curating a lot of these product development stages at your own startup, being a scientist yourself. Could you tell us and walk through the steps of product development? You said you've been doing R&D for a long time. What came first? What came sequentially in that time in that sequence? And what was the timeline for all of these processes of product development? You're on mute, Dr. Reena.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah.
Go on. Yeah.
Actually, we were in the ingredient business since 2000. Yeah. So we were in the ingredient business since 2018, and we were not the simple ingredients, specific ingredients with more than 80% API, active ingredient compound in ingredients. So we were already producing that. So slowly, we entered into the formulation that we were supplying ingredients to many companies. Then they asked us to formulate their final product for them, as we were very good in means extracting those ingredients which are rare and very few companies are working over them. So when we came in this product development in this ingredient business, we thought that, as I told you, we are vegan, and always we thought that whenever in Singapore also, whenever we are looking for some different means food and wanted to try something different. So then we thought that why not we use our ingredient and our technology and made a new product. So that day this thought come in our mind. We started to work over that. And this plant-based meat market, as Natalie said, and everyone knows that it's nowadays a saturated market. Beyond came in 2009, then Impossible came after 2 years, then so many companies nowadays, thousands of companies are making different products. So in this 2019, it's not easy to establish yourself with a common product which is not differ. You cannot prove that my product is different from your product and my product is superior in this way. So by keeping all these points in mind, we started to working, and we have picked up first the chicken, as the poultry market is a big market, billion market, and red meat has its own negative effects in terms of the health complication, in terms of the climatic changes. So we thought to start from lot, as I said that we have prepared a chicken prototype in terms of the protein, in terms of the carbohydrate, in terms of the mineral, vitamins, XYZ, all the components, all the biochemistry. Then after finding all the we prepare an Excel sheet, and then we started to find out the right plant protein source for that. From which plant source we can get the cysteine, from which plant source we can get the glycine, that's amino acid on this. So all 9 essential amino acid or non-essential, we match. We have find all the plant sources. and same for the carbohydrate and protein, so on. So like this, we prepared a profile which we can choose for our product. And after doing this homework complete, then we thought now we have done complete study, and now second challenge was the fund. And definitely how we can share our idea in the market, how can our extend our networking, and so on. So coincidentally, we come in the contact with we shared our idea with the Brinc, and Brinc has supported us in bringing our technology, in extending our network, and introducing us the potential clients. And this that way, we have started. We got a fund, and we started means to for R&D trials, and ultimately for commercializing the product. So in 2019, we developed our product. We completed our prototype and developed our product. And 2000 this we can say November to March, we have done the consumer trials in India, in restaurant, in hotels, and fast food chains. And that our product is liked by everyone. We have sold approx 13 tons of material with the 120 USD dollar sale. And then that proved our technology advancement, they proved that enhanced our confidence. And with that confidence, we thought to just commercialize our product within the next 2 months. But unfortunately, due to COVID, our supply chain has badly affected, and we were not able to bring our product from India to Singapore. The Singapore regulation is very much strict. They are not allowing any perishable material at this moment. And our final product is in the frozen form. And so because of that, and we don't have our extruder also, and extruder is a very expensive material. So sorry,
Currently, what?
sorry.
No worries. I just a clarifying question. So currently,
Yeah,
where are
very
you
expensive.
manufacturing, and where are you using the extrusion facilities to make your products?
Yeah, currently, actually, we don't have one. We have modified one extrusion from India. The company is making the soya chunks. So we have modified that soya chunks extruder by modifying their front cooling die part, and their screws, and their by establishing the conditions like temperature, moisture, and except that we are using at this time one Malaysian based company who is doing this extrusion work for us. And we have shared our product with so many companies by using that extruded, and definitely it's good texture and taste as well.
Right. Got it. Interesting. Yeah. No, absolutely. Huge white space again, like equipment innovation, all the food engineers, mechanical engineers in the
Right.
house, and also, participants, if you know any friends, this is a great career opportunity because we have a lot of extruders in India, which probably could be modified and optimized for, plant-based meat texturization, etc. So great insights. Thank you, Reena, for, yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was saying that for the startup, when you don't have fund and you cannot stop only because of fund. It's a very fast growing market. You cannot wait that when the fund will come and when the student will come and I'm going to commercialize product. And especially when you have completed your R&D very successfully with a great sale. So at this moment, we thought not to wait for a high high quality, or I can say when it's completed. We thought to modify the existed one with our expertization, as Dr. Gaurav is he can I think speak more over that, is a very good engineer as well as a technology scientist, a technology expert. So he modified the current extruder under his supervision. And by using that, and we identify some of the supplier and some of the CMOs who can do this extrusion part for us instead of waiting for our own.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, thank you so much for those insights. We'll get back to Dr. Garo as well to understand about his experience and all of that. Kushal, why don't you answer this question specifically, which was about learnings from developing the product at a lab scale, and now that you're planning to take it to market in terms of scale up, co-manufacturing facilities, all of that. How did you solve for that specifically in India? Now we know that extrusion is a big problem, and if you had to start over differently all over again, what things you would probably change or modify in your approach? And you can also incorporate insights from your previous experience at 4 p.m. bar as well.
Yes. So what I would modify the situation of COVID. That's what I would do, because that really made our whole product development cycle like much longer. For like 4 to 5 months, we couldn't do anything. But besides that, what happened? That's what we struggled a lot to find an extruder, and in the meantime, we developed our own process to create a plant-based meat. So what we have today, it's not extruded. It's a only process that we and our team have developed. So yeah, that's what we are planning to launch it in the market, and we have also
Got it.
identified a pilot plant where we can do a focused pilot commercial trial, and we are also in talks with few of the co-manufacturer how this could be scaled. So obviously our experience in our first product has helped us to how we can better work with the co-manufacturer and all the things around supply chain to distribution and all things around it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Kushal. My next question is actually for Natalie. As a program manager for a food tech acceleration cohort at Brinc, which startups in the alt protein sector have shown, massive gains for Brinc? And my second question is actually, when you're looking at the market overall, where do you see it going? You answered some of this initially when were answering the previous question, but maybe just build on that, Natalie.
Sure. I think to your first question, we have no favorites. That's the diplomatic answer. All of the companies that we work with come to us with very different value propositions and at very different stages. And I think that's the unique thing about Brinc as an accelerator, is that we have an investment thesis that's intentionally wide, and we take a very, very customized approach to what every founder needs. So we've worked with certain founders, for instance, who are very, very technically strong, but need more support around building up their investor materials and business communications. We have some founders who have a wealth of experience in commercializing food products, but want to start developing something a little bit more technical. So we therefore plug in more with, say, product development or supply chain or scale up. So all of our portfolio companies are unique in that they bring something a little bit different to the table, and they come at very different stages. I think within alt protein, the great thing about the space is that it's very collaborative. Since it's still an industry that's very, very nascent, I think almost there's this collegiate spirit where people, obviously there's friendly competition, but people are happy for each other's wins because, and as a general, people are quite mission aligned. People are more aware of a double bottom line and want to drive impact as well. So one of your competitors succeeding is actually pushing forward the entire space. And your competition really with alternative protein companies or plant-based companies is not so much your other plant-based company, it's traditional meat, right, which still occupies 99% of the market, and that's really your competition. So all these different plant-based food companies with slightly different value propositions, I've seen in my experience working in this space, actually are cheer each other on, and there's much more collaboration there. I think that's the first question about the startups. Remind me again quickly what your second question was. I think I got a little bit too passionate around answering the first one.
No, I mean, in terms of the market, where do you see the major trends? Where is it really going in the next 3 to 5 years? What should startups be really looking to build for? We talked about differentiation, we talked about nutrition a little bit, but just your top 3, 4 points.
Okay, so where we see the market going, I think in the plant-based space, it's really around creating plant-based foods which are healthier with a cleaner label, which are a little bit less processed. And outside of the plant-based space within alternative proteins, you're also seeing much more, I think, around precision fermentation as a deep tech means that's combining sometimes cell-based, sometimes applicable also to the plant-based as a component of plant-based foods as a driver across the industry. I think GFI actually does some great webinars around this, the technical nature of it, around precision fermentation within alternative protein food products.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thank you for that. My next question is actually for Reena. Dr. Reena, so basically, can you tell us about your focus on nutrition? And again, one interesting point that I wanted to cover was you focus from shifted from being an ingredient only company to a B2C brand of sorts for plant-based meat category. What was the reason for that shift? And yeah, can you start with that question and we'll just cover the first one a little later. Yeah. You're on mute, yeah.
Yeah, Shardul. Actually, if we talked published in Food and Beverage Insider, based upon result of a recent survey that commissioned by specialty PR agency Ingredients Communication. If you've read about that, that article found as many as 73% of consumers are happy to pay a higher retail price for a food or drink product made with ingredients they recognize and trust. And similarly, another survey also I would like to mention here that they published as in Food Navigator that 81% people prefer ingredients which are natural, and the awareness is increasing day per day. Growth of plant-based meat alternate is a good example of that, and which we are always talking about that now taste problem is almost solved by additive, texture is solved. Now the main thing is the next challenge in the product is how you are able to make your product 100% natural, artificial, additive free. So not only consumers but regulating authorities also getting more and more strict every day in this particular area.
Yeah, got it. So that was the major reason for you to go ahead with the shift
Yeah.
to focus on nutrition. Got it. And for your shift from B2C to B2B to B2C category, from ingredients to a more end product perspective.
Yeah, actually we just want to prove that our product is not a limited food choices. Our product has a very wide spectrum. Our product suits to all market. This is not limited up to restaurant, hotel, at home. We wanted to prove our product suitability either from the scratch. You can cook at home. Either you are a ready to eat consumer, either you are a ready to prepare consumers. So our product suited all the segments for all the consumers. So that's why we decided not to stuck up to B2B. B2B, we will supply the raw meat, the roasted meat, and for the B2C, we will prove our suitability in that ready to eat like burger, patties, which all other companies are doing. So it's only about the proving your capabilities in all type of market or for all that type of consumers.
So yeah, basically your ingredient and technology had promise and you wanted to show develop products and sell it in the market so that actual sales can demonstrate like a proof of concept for the superior quality of your ingredients and their nutrition and the technology that you're using to arrive at that end product of sensory replication. Is that correct from what I understand?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I,
Yeah.
please.
No, please go on. Please add to it.
Yeah, actually, currently we are in the B2B, and from B2B we have planning to move towards the B2C through the big box retailers and so on. And if we talk about our technology, so our technology is first point is using the fundamental building blocks of protein, which is the amino acid. Second, the technology which we are using column chromatography for our means through which this technique is more common in the pharmaceutical sector or R&D in the food, but we are trying to commercialize this in the plant-based meat sector. And the third point is the making the product cost effective for everyone. Hello.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there were some questions about that actually, about the affordability of like the numbers you mentioned about cutting down the cost and making it more affordable. How are you really trying to achieve that? What are you really trying to solve for? Is it like better processes or cheaper ingredients, better sourcing? What is that key USP for you to achieve that affordability?
Yeah, that's a very good question, which I am expecting from everyone. Because if we will talk about the processed product, then definitely it's a very expensive, because the processed product has the cost of the additives, flavor cost, which are very expensive, cost of the binders like methyl cellulose and other chemicals, which are again very expensive. So if we add all these costs, flavor, chemical binders, and seasoning and all those, so definitely a product which will come will add automatically all these costs also. But as we are Indians and we know the cost of the commodities, the lentils are very cheap, and so we that's why we say that our product is 100% natural. We are not using any, first main cost effective point is that we are not using any additive. Our product doesn't have any flavor. We create flavor by reacting carbohydrate from protein. So that's a natural reaction that occurs inside the body also, that our body, different reactions causes different type of means flavors and enzymes and different reactions. So definitely we can say that no additive, no flavor in our product save the cost. And secondly, we use the technology called column chromatography. Chromatography is the column is designed by us, and which is a one-time cost. You need not to change your column each and every day. So we have to design
Sorry, I think I'm losing you because of connectivity issue. Uh,
and it will be go around the 6 month or 8 month.
got it.
So
We'll just circle back to you, Dr. Reena, because yeah,
that, yeah, so that's our point, that we don't use any chemical, use any flavor.
got
Flavors
it. Yeah,
the
got it. So basically, you're trying to achieve cleaner labels and
carbohydrate and
lower.
by using the Maillard. So yeah, that's why we are saying our product is 100% natural without any chemical. It's GMO free. It's any type of chemical processing free.
Got it. Yeah. So process innovation of sorts, using a lot of interactions between carbohydrates and proteins, using a lot of your experience in tweaking instruments and processes to make it low cost. I think those are some of the key USPs you mentioned. And
Yeah,
again, yeah,
because which technology you are using, what raw material you are using, how you are using your raw material into concentrate, isolates, and then convert it into a means how you're getting your texture. Then every step has its own cost, and if you are, if you know the depth of the process, then you can reduce cost on each and every step.
yeah, absolutely makes sense. Dr. Reena, I think your network has a little bit of an issue, so maybe you want to reconnect. We'll just take a couple more questions with Kushal and Natalie and then circle back to you so that we can hear you a little better. So just try reconnecting till then. My next question is actually for Kushal. You've obviously applied to a couple of accelerators. You've successfully got through Brinc. You've been selected at some of the research and technology centers in India, like you said. So the participants had a question around what are the key things that you pitch for, or what these organizations are looking for. We can obviously ask that later to Natalie as well, but we wanted to understand from your pitching experience and your selection process, what were the key 3 things, 4 things that are must in any startup to get selected for such a cohort?
Yeah. Um, I think any accelerator, it's more to do with your vision, what you are really trying to achieve, and how much you as a person are invested in it. So that's really important. That's what I feel, because other people can see through you. If you're just doing that because like everyone is talking about it, maybe they are not really interested. So because that comes out, after one or two real conversation. My real intention is, yeah, me being a food entrepreneur has to do so much with me couldn't digest the fact that so many like a lot of food is being manufactured, and so much, so like millions of people go hungry every day. I couldn't just sleep with this thought. That bothered me so much, that made me an entrepreneur. Okay, I think that's what that vision, and that's kind of making me to solve one after the other, the products that we're developing, or the vision that we carry. So now just talking about the meat alternative that we are making it, it's absolutely doesn't make sense. We as a human beings, we have even have food first in my back of my head. Okay, so we have supercomputers in our hand, but food is something that we eat at least 3 times a day across the globe, is the most inefficient. Just for chicken, you need to feed chicken 9 calories to get 1 calories of chicken meat. That's like real, that doesn't make sense, just going by the first principles, you have to solve it. So I think having a vision and having a thought on what you carry to really do really the change that you want to bring in the world, and that kind of really help. Of course, being strong in your scientific approach with your team, with the resources that you have, the knowledge, everything matters, but it's really the vision, and how persistent are you, how really resilient are you, how good are you in bouncing back when you really it, because entrepreneurship is tough. Everyone, the people on the other side, they know it, right?
Yeah.
So that really
Certainly, yeah. Resilience, vision, two very key points. And Natalie, coming back to you, actually, can you tell us a little bit more from a specific points perspective? Like, what are you really looking for in a deck? Like the overarching themes of resilience, great team in place, maybe some sort of a vision to solve for a big problem, scalability. All of that is certainly very important. We've heard that. Can you specify certain things that you really look for in an application, or as a key? I don't know, key success points in a startup story, so that you can basically invest in them or support them. You have the confidence to do that.
Sure. Of course. So, of course, all those points mentioned before, it's the founder, what their experience and their reason, as Kushal mentioned, for doing what they're doing, and whether or not they are really solving a problem that needs to be solved. It sounds silly, but the number of some of the decks that I look at, they provide these beautifully elaborate solutions, but actually for a solution that doesn't necessarily need to be solved. So making sure that you're actually solving a problem that needs a solution, and making sure that your product has product market fit is one of them. And an early stage, often the companies that we work with are pre-revenue. So you're not looking from a pure investment standpoint at traditional metrics such as their revenue and so on. Rather, you're looking at softer skills. I think the coachability, the track record of the founder, the idea, any early milestones, traction, what differentiates their product, any early market, any market milestones, in that even if they haven't launched their product yet, have they actually gone and tried to have other people taste their samples, tried to get early consumer validation and feedback. What has their approach been around this? What have they done to iterate around it? If there is a product available, we often ask to taste or try the product. We always ask for product samples. So with food, actually, it comes down to, often for the most average consumer who's not as conscious, it's actually how does it taste and how much does it cost. So unit economics, market feasibility, technical feasibility, and financial feasibility are really the three building blocks upon which we build our curriculum and upon which we assess the business. So these are some of the things we look for. And again, an early stage, often it's a lot driven by the founder, their vision, and whether or not we believe this founder is someone that is receptive actually to advice. Because to go through an accelerator program, the idea is that the more eyes, the better, the more hands, the better, the more different perspectives that you can integrate into your business, the founder will actually listen to, the better. So making sure that it's someone that is also easy to work with is I'd never underestimate the importance of that, I think.
Awesome. Yeah.
So even that matters. How closer are you to your finished product? Like,
yeah, your stage to your finished product. And if you are not there yet, showing and demonstrating that you have a very clear action plan to get there. You can say, actually today I'm in a stage where I'm just prototyping, or I have a near final prototype, but actually I have a very clear timeline whereby I plan to hit this milestone by this date, and why do I think I'm going to be able to achieve it, rather than, okay, I'm just at the stage and I don't really know where the future, like, actually demonstrating you have the capability to execute. Because good ideas, I think, are not as hard to come by than having a complete package and being able to execute it as well.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. A quick reminder for everyone to send in some of the questions through the chat box. You can send them to me, or you can just a second. Or yeah, you can just send it through the chat box. Awesome. Yeah. Just building on to that, Kushal and Dr. Reena, both of you must have approached a lot of investors. So Kushal, starting with you, how was your experience? Were they all mission aligned? If you're seeing success in raising funds, have they been impact investors, or usually they care? At least in India, or regions that Indian entrepreneurs are raising funds from, do they care for factors like environment, health, nutrition, or the focus is always on price and taste, ultimately?
yeah, at least the people that we approach are really mission aligned, and they have a thesis to be an impact investor. But at the same time, we have been approached by certain people who just want to go with the frenzy that's really happening. That if we find that there is a resistance or they're not really mission aligned, I end up not following up with them. So all the investors that we approach, yes, they are mission aligned. They have to have the vision why they are in this. Most of the people that I speak to, they are either vegan or really vegetarian, and they really want to stop the hurt that is really happening to the animals. Yes.
Got it. What has the experience been like for you, Dr. Reena, in terms of raising funds?
Yeah, actually, definitely we have approached a lot of investors, but every investor has different vision, and definitely our vision is also different, as we want investor who is not only invest the money in our business. They can be our mentor for a long time, and we can learn something, and they can actively contribute in growing our company. They grow, we grow. That's our vision. So definitely, whenever we are approaching to any investor, and after end of the meeting, we come with some new learning, or we are implementing that as a lesson in our business.
Got it. Yeah. And basically, just again, Natalie, coming back to you, we talked about some milestone, early stage milestones, which these startups or founders can demonstrate before they have a proof of concept when they're applying. Can you just highlight some of the key things that they can talk about, or that should be there on paper? Is it consumer research, some basic lab samples? Again, like there's this vicious circle, right? Where you need a lot of funds to do product development. And before that, you cannot do a lot of these market trials. So are there any other key factors other than, the technical expertise of the team, resilience, vision, all of that, that one should look at while applying?
I think we've covered quite a lot of it in this call, but I think having a product sample, being able to demonstrate even on paper product differentiation, as we mentioned, I think then without anything, when it's a pure concept, is also the experience of the founder and why they are being able to convince the investor why they are the right team to be able to execute this product or vision.
Yeah. Absolutely. So actually, and we're going to cover some of this in our session tomorrow, participants on unit economics and then on pitch deck. So I'm really hopeful that all of you join us and we just build on a lot of things that we've discussed today. So Dr. Reena, my next question is actually for you. And can you talk a little bit about some of the regulatory challenges, maybe with novel ingredients? And could you start by telling us a little bit about some of the key ingredients that you think are going to be game changers over the next few years, specifically for our sector? And if they're indigenous, if they are evidently available in India, that would be more useful for the participants.
Actually, yeah. So regulatory or this technology side, I would like to pass this question to Dr. Gaurav. He's more expert in that.
Sure.
So
Gaurav, why don't you tell us a little bit about those challenges?
Yeah. So the regulatory, okay, we call it challenge or we call it a good thing. I call it good thing actually. We need regulatories to control the food system, and I am always supportive. So I have been in the panel of ISI earlier, and also FSSAI when it was being built, and I'm a big supporter of regulatory governance. In fact, because they control it. So, but if we take it as a challenge, I would say challenge comes because, like, if we call it in India, especially about the commodities, the major heat has come on the pesticide side, aflatoxins. Uh, these are the two major areas where we, if you really want to have a clean level, they put a very strict. So if you see the pesticide requirement on the food is almost as stringent as Europe or EU actually in FSSAI. And with our current agriculture system where we have been using pesticides since long, and it takes like 5 to 6 years in really to leach out all those pesticides. Getting those commodities with that clean level or that low level of the pesticides is really a challenge. And especially when you are not adding a lot of additional material. So there are two ways how people manage it. Okay, so one is like the commodity plus the clean ingredients, which are processed ingredients, and then you typically dilute them. But the good way is like we can source the good material which are clean.
yeah,
But
quality.
we got another advantage is that we use the isolation technology, which not only get rid of the components we want, but it also take out some of the, especially the pesticide side, it also take out some of the
And
pesticide along with the
and one more
volatiles.
point I want to highlight with Gaurav here, that about the regulatory, we should say that regulatory is specific, means some of the ingredients are maybe permissible in India with certain limit, but that may not be in Europe, then that may not be in the US. So regulatory is different country to country, first thing. And so definitely, I would say that as I said that it product with 100% natural, where we don't need to comply with any country specific regulation. So definitely would be a great product. And we need to, about the key ingredients or future ingredients, I would say that protein we should have SGFI is always having the webinars and chat about the smart protein. So definitely now it's a time to know about not only the quantity of protein, about the quality of protein. As proteins always differ uh, in nature, in function. So we need to educate the people that what's the role of protein in our body and how it can be, what it means, what the function and how it's helping the digestion, absorption, and complete metabolism. So the key ingredients which are means having a good digestive index definitely would be preferable ingredients in the food choice.
Got it. Yeah. My next, yeah, Dr. Gaurav, do you want to add something to it?
So like I just like recently there was a change in the regulation in US. So if you are claiming the protein, so it is not for food. It has been applied only for the protein drinks, especially or the protein bars, or claimed as a protein food, and they made it mandatory that DISS is mandatory. Like if you are claiming protein, you also need to prove that it's digestible. So those are a lot
Got
of
it.
changes. So
Yeah.
food is becoming more of functional food actually, and it will come more and more actually in future, and which is good, I would say.
Got it. Yeah. The next question is actually for Kushal. Can
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned about your product launch and, distribution being a key challenge. Could you tell our audience a little bit about your go-to-market strategy
Sure.
and why have you chosen that for your specific product in the plant-based meat area?
So a plant-based meat is more of an ingredient than a finished product, right? So that's why we want to give it an experience to our potential customers before we really launch it. So we are going with an approach of Oreca first, like B2B. We'll tie up with few restaurants and then we launch it there. We'll have it included in the menu. Then we'll do a D2C where we get attraction online and where we get the word out, and we'll have our initial people who can talk about us and who can tell it to their friends and who can introduce us. So then we will be like a B2B2C, like a typical distribution model, supermarket and other things. So first Oreca, like the B2B, D2C, and like the regular traditional distribution. It can be general trade, modern trade, all kind of distribution. Yes. So that's
What
the
Got it. What would be unique to your specific plant-based meat products? They, from what I understand, they're shelf-stable as well.
yeah.
Um, so, would that change your distribution in any way? Like, is there anything specific which you had to reconsider from your time of distributing 4 p.m. bars
Oh, yeah.
compared to this?
Yeah, complete U-turn. 4 p.m. bar is like ready to eat. It's like category people know. Even today, educating a customer, it's a really a challenge, and it's a very long exercise, and it's an expensive exercise. And in the early days, I used to educate them everything about the ingredient, the whole product, the whole nutrition content, and everything. But eventually, I kind of learned it from my customer. It became an healthy chocolate. So if they want to call it that, let them call it that. As long they're eating good, I'm happy, right? So this is more of an ingredient, not a ready to eat product. Of course it will be sold in ready to cook format, but this is an ingredient. So we want to approach the sales of this after factory production in a different manner. So yeah, so we'll go with the chef first. They cook it and they serve it, because it's multi everything. In India the food changes from city to city, from place to place. So we want to just give it as an ingredient. Let them teach us. Let me see what all things could be cooked. So that's our approach, because we have done several trials. I cooked it myself, our team cooked it ourselves, and when we add a chef cook a product, and my goodness, it was like 3 times better, 5 times better. So we want to learn from the people who are good in serving, who are good with their hands, who love cooking. So that
Got
whole
it.
passion, it's really the ingredient, right? We want to play it like that. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So from what I understand, a lot of small tests across cities with different chefs, get a lot of data in on what their preferences are, what their challenges are in cooking the product, and how consumers are perceiving that, and all of that basically forms into a final strategy for a streamlined go-to-market. Awesome, great. Natalie, my next question is actually for you in terms of feasibility, right? Due diligence, technical due diligence specifically for products and in innovative areas like ours, how do you really do that? And what all do you really look for when you're looking for feasibility of a company's successful sustained scale up over years?
On the technical side, unfortunately, you're asking actually slightly the wrong person. We do have a technical head of program who's a food scientist, who is much better equipped to answer this question. But I will, from my limited experience, say on the technical side, we look for whether or not the claims that you're actually representing, say you say it's clean label and so on, whether or not they're actually feasible at scale. And that would require that would include stuff like shelf life stability testing, whether you've considered your HACCP, certain basic food safety, say, claims that you make if they're gluten-free and so on, whether or not they're actually feasible and scalable when you are looking to scale up manufacturing and distribute at a larger scale. So on the technical side is that, but what I can speak more to is actually around the commercial feasibility, the unit economics of whether or not they're price competitive, say with other different plant-based products in the market, or with actually, if you're creating a plant-based chicken, with the chicken itself, how close it is to parity. That's the more sort of market and technical feasibility. And if there's another thing around product market fit, is actually often founders will come to us, say, look, we have a plant-based chicken and we are targeting flexitarians. And I'm like, great, you're targeting flexitarians. Which market are you thinking of going into? Why? Within flexitarians, what sort of demographic, what region, where exactly, what type of focus group are you going to target? Who is your, can you give me the profile of who exactly are your ideal, who you think your ideal customers are? Have you gone and spoken to them? Have you gone and tested that type of feasibility? Because flexitarians in the world, there are millions, billions. That's not your target market. It's rather the thought process of really narrowing that down and achieving product market fit. That's what we call market feasibility. And the financial feasibility element is really around the unit economics and the justification for it. So I think technical, long story short, is around ability to scale up this product, but it's also around scaling up this product at a price point that's reasonable and in line with the market, and for actually a consumer that wants it. It's always the market, the technical, and the financial feasibility that have to go together.
Yeah, great insights, Natalie. Thank you so much. My next question is actually for Dr. Reena, and it's slightly technical. Does a plant protein isolate, for example, the soy isolate, mean extraction of all the proteins from soy, or extraction of one or selected few proteins? If it's the former, how are soy isolates different for different companies? And if it's the latter, what characteristics are desirable at molecular level to choose the protein, in the isolate for plant-based meat applications? You answered a little bit about, your specific value addition through carbohydrate and protein interactions, use of column-based chromatography and some things around that. But maybe you could answer this question at a broad level as well. Dr. Gaurav would also.
Yes. Actually, Shardul, making a isolate or concentrate is a physical or chemical process. If you are going to separate the proteins, the carbohydrate can come together. Of course, not in the the ratio can be 10%, 5%, but definitely along with protein, carbohydrate will come. And if you are want to separate the carbohydrate, the protein will come. If I say the general, definitely yes. All proteins available in source should be isolate. But in practical, there are, as I said, that carbohydrate left with protein, protein left with carbohydrate. So which protein will be left in carbohydrate? It very much depends upon the individual chemical and physical properties of the isolate. As if we are making the soya protein. So soya protein means soya protein is how much protein concentrate, and along with how much protein concentrate, how much is the percentage of carbohydrate that going to react with the protein and can interrupt in the final process, process. And as in our technique, they can be interact in the flavor formation, as we say that we are creating the flavor from the protein and carbohydrate reaction. So definitely how you are going to isolate your product, that makes a very big difference in the final product. But in our process, we are using a different technique. We are using the reverse chromatography. We are not eluting what we want. We are eluting what we don't want. If we don't want carbohydrates, and definitely in our elution, we want carbohydrate as a byproduct. And after this carbohydrate, we will again run in the second round this carbohydrate component to get the desired carbohydrate, like the reducing sugar, which can react with the amino acid and make a flavor. So this technique is we can say very is very very experienced and very expertise, only you can get the desired amino acid profile. Separation of amino acid from a plant source is not simple. It takes time.
Yeah.
And definitely if you plant proteins are definitely different from the animal protein. And many plant proteins like actin and myosin are not found in the are found in the animal but don't found in the protein. So similarly, extraction of the protein, desired protein, is very different, and you must be choosy and you must be uh, going through the right technology, right techniques, while eluting the proteins or carbohydrate.
Got it. Yeah, I think we've had a very interesting session. So many perspectives. I'm losing track now of the insights that we shared. But I think just tying it up by posing one question to each one of you, if you had to give one key piece of advice to any plant-based meat, dairy, plant-based seafood ingredient entrepreneur who are present with us today, what would that be in terms of their journey of starting a company in this area? Why don't we start with Natalie?
I think mine's going to be a simple one, and tying it back to the very first thing I said is really the importance of not giving up. You're going to face a lot of hurdles and challenges in starting an early stage company, and you're going often to feel like you're going to have to wear multiple hats. So it's important to stay positive and to stay resilient. And I think another thing, adding to that, is to know where your blind spots are and know where and who to seek help from. So it's very important to know what you can do well and acknowledge what you can't, and see you're not going to be able to do everything ever. So know where and how to get help where appropriate as well.
Thank you. Kushal, why don't you go next?
Yeah. So that's a very important point. Know things that you're good at, things that you're bad at, and things that you're really worst at. Okay. So then delegate. So delegate is a really, really important word. Find the right people, give it to them. Let us all make the world beautiful. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's very simple advice, but I think it's very important, which is the fundamental reason we tell people to have diverse set of teams, interact with people who have different perspectives. And I think the JF Ideas community is a brilliant way of doing that. Just meet a lot of people who are investors, who are value chain stakeholders. Everybody has a specific concern and specific skill to offer, right? So I think just tying it up all together is the main thing that an entrepreneur can really do in an ecosystem like ours. Dr. Reena, what would be your one key advice?
Yeah, for me, actually, very first thing is one should have choose your passion to solve your problems. If you are passionate, then definitely the problems will not be hard for you. And do you really do believe in your product? As that if you have fundamental ideas, if you have technology, if you have means passion for your product, then definitely it's going to solve all the problems. Once you have the determination, then plan your determination and with all the challenges, and definitely work in the discipline. Discipline is very much important for that. As we are in a startup and we don't have any team, we don't have we have only 3 or 4 members in our team. So definitely sometimes we are working 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the night, and then again start the next day. So passion and determination and discipline is very important, especially to go ahead in a startup.
Absolutely. Dr. Gaurav, anything from a technical perspective that you would say is like a key piece of advice for anybody thinking of launching a company in this area?
From technical perspective, what I would say is whatever we want to achieve, like do a thorough work, actually, and that's what we do. Because sometimes we think an idea and it's just a cover of a book, and we think, okay, it's a wonderful. And when we start opening it, it has all the difficulties. So my advice will be, okay, look at all the possible. We may not know a lot of things in the beginning, that's possible, but try to know all the hurdles. Sometimes we choose not to listen to the bad thing. Okay, that's a normal human thing, but listen to the bad things. What wrong can go in technology area? What can be challenges, and know them ahead so that we can have a solution for that. So in technical area, my experience is, and that's what I tell everyone in the organization. First, if you know the problem, and that's a typical root cause analysis. If you know that problem, then you will be able to solve it. If you don't know it, yeah, we'll never get a solution of that.
Absolutely. Root cause analysis, very important technique. No matter if you're thinking of a scientific problem to solve or just a business problem to solve for. Once again, I think we've covered a lot of questions today, and I'll just like to take a couple of minutes to kind of sum it all up. I think my learning was obviously the fact, and a lot of participants might have related to this. When we started out with the challenge, there were just a bunch of evaluation criteria, right? Just a bunch of parameters: feasibility, technical analysis, food safety, I don't know, market analysis, all of that. And now that you've gone through so many sessions, this is our webinar number 14. And then there were a bunch of other resources, bunch of podcasts, webinar episodes, sessions that you've been shared as resources in phase 1 and phase 2. I think now in the next 5 days, your role is basically to tie that all of it into, and also like a lot of these insights that entrepreneurs share or scientists share in our workshops. I think these are very key insights, because ultimately these are insights generated from practical experiences of talking with investors, of talking with other stakeholders. And I think just trying to carefully listen to those problems and trying to solve for them would put you way ahead compared to your competition. So once again, thank you so much, Natalie, Kushal, and Dr. Reena and Dr. Gaurav for joining us. It was a pleasure doing this fireside chat. And, in the next 3, 4, 5 days, we'll be seeing a lot of interesting proposals coming from the teams. And I'm sure, going forward, some of the participants end up applying to, cohorts like Brinc and other acceleration cohorts who are partners on our challenge. And we are really glad that all of you are here as our mentors, supporting these new innovative ideas and, young entrepreneurs and researchers and students who want to make a career in this area. So thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure these events and these partnerships will fructify in the coming days as well. So yeah, that's it from my end. And thank you so much, Nicole, for being there from GFI India, helping me with this webinar. Have a great, have a great day ahead, everyone who's joined us. I think Dr. Reena has joined us from outside of India, maybe. So whatever time zones you're on, please take care. Please have a great night. Bye.
Thank you, Shardul. Thank you.
Bye, Natalie.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.